Your close rate from paid ads has usually got nothing to do with your sales ability, but it's got everything to do with what actually happens in the process before someone books a call and what happens after they book a call. So in this video, I'm going to walk through how you can make sure leads turn up pre-sold, pre-qualified, and actually ready to go and buy your product or service. Let me get straight into it. So what most people are doing right now when they're trying to book qualified sales calls with their prospects and they're wondering why the sales calls are not converting into actual revenue is because the flow probably looks something like this, where you've got your meta ads and then you're driving people over to a landing page to then get them booked on for a sales call with your sales team. Now, this is great. Obviously, we want people to actually go and book a sales call with your sales team. That's the name of the game. But the only issue here is, and what we're going to be walking through in this video, is you need to make sure that there is friction between someone actually being interested in the offer that you're presenting. So someone's literally clicking on an ad, and then there needs to be friction in between here, and then someone actually booking a sales call with your salesperson. And then once they book a sales call, they need to be nurtured before someone actually has a sales call with your salesperson. So the reason why that in itself will actually increase your close rate is because of three things. They're going to turn up warm, they're going to turn up qualified, and they're going to be pre-sold and ready to actually work with you. So then your salesperson has got a very easy job on their hands. Now, there's a lot of information online about how to actually nurture leads and improve your close rate. And I'm not talking about sales, I'm talking about marketing here, but I want to explain how I actually learned this. So I used to run ads for a company in real estate, and what we used to do, the close rate was pretty terrible because we basically had a ad on Facebook and Instagram. Sorry, I'm actually left-handed and I always use the right hand for my mouse, so it's terrible. So we had an ad and we basically used to drive people over to a meeting page, so someone could actually go and book a call with that company. And the close rate was terrible because there was no friction, there was no form, there was no video sales letter. There was literally nothing. It was an ad straight over to a meeting, and then they would have the Zoom call. That's even if they showed up, because half of them bloody didn't even show up. It was a terrible show up rate. So, if your funnel's looking something like this, where you've got an ad straight over to a meeting page where they can book a call, I can tell you for a fact most people will not show up, especially if you've got nothing that happens after they've booked a call. Anyway, that's sort of beside the point. So the reason why I learned this and how I learned how to actually create friction is because people were the close rate was terrible and they weren't showing up. So what we actually did is we started to add a little bit of friction. So we had the ad, and then we actually introduced a video sales letter. So on the landing page, we would drive people from an ad to a video sales letter, and it was a video of one of the directors of the company just speaking about like what the offer is, who it's for, who it's not for, why they should book a call, blah 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 blah. Now this increased the close rate a little bit because people were sort of a little bit more nurtured and a bit more educated on what the offer was and what the service was. And also on the sales call, they felt like they actually knew the director because the director was actually one of the people who was having the sales call as well. So they were, oh, cool, I actually saw you on the video sales letter and the ad. So that increased the close rate as well. Now, taking this one step further, what needs to happen as well after someone actually goes from ad over to video sales letter over to booking a call was we noticed that we needed to handle all of these key points here. So when someone actually books a call, then what happens after that? Most people, what they do is they just let people go and book a call and then they have the sales call. But they forget this key point here. And these are all points that you need to make sure that you address before someone books a call, right? So most people will forget that they've even booked a call, especially from cold traffic. Like if you're running cold traffic, you would not believe the amount of people that click on an ad, fill out a form, or they've even watched like a 5 to 10 minute video, or in B2C, they might have watched a 30-minute video on the video sales letter. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that forget. So we need to actually remind them, and remind them not just saying like, hey, your call is at this time and this date. We need to remind them why they clicked on the ad, why they were in pain, and why they should actually show up to the call. So people forget, and they actually end up, as soon as they filled out the form, they actually doubt that you can even deliver on your product or service. So humans just try and stay away from pain as much as possible, and everyone is skeptical, and especially with social media right now, like they will doubt that you can even do your product or service and you can deliver. So they're going to have a ton of objections as well. So you're going to have a series of common objections that you hear on a daily basis if you're running paid ads already, or you're doing cold outreach and you hear all these objections, or you've done your research on Claude or ChatGPT. You just know all these objections. So why not handle all of these objections before someone has a sales call with your sales team to absolutely destroy all of the objections? Do you think that your close rate would increase if you could do that? Obviously, it's going to help. It's going to increase. So that's what we want to handle before someone has a sales call. And they've obviously got to decide, is this the right fit for them? So we want to be nurturing them along this process and help them actually decide, do you need to sort of run the numbers a little bit? Can you show some case studies? Can you show some testimonials? Now that leads on to the final point, which I believe is probably one of the biggest points here, is trust. So if someone has booked a call and then they're thinking in their head before the sales call, I haven't really seen much of this person, I've just clicked on a random ad, I don't really trust them. Can we actually handle this before the sales call? Absolutely. I'm going to walk you through exactly how we can handle all of these points before you have a sales call, so it makes your salesperson's team very easy. And it's almost like a formality at this point where someone's having a sales call. It's like, cool, I know who you are, I trust you, I understand who this is for, and yes, that person is me. My objections have already been handled. I know that you can already do this because you've done it for someone on a case study that you've just shown me, and it looks, that person looks, or that company looks just like me. We want to handle all this. Now, to explain what you need to do here is super simple. So you've got your traffic here, and this would be your Facebook and your Instagram ads. Now, your offer is obviously going to be explained on your ads, and it's also going to be explained on your landing page. And if you've got everything set up correctly, you should have a congruent flow from the ad itself actually explains the offer, and so should the landing page, and so should the video that is on the landing page. So this is why the friction is there. So the friction is literally the video sales letter saying, hey, this is for people who look like this. This is not for people who look like this. That is essentially what you need to do on the video sales letter. And then you need to actually have a form in place here. So another piece of friction where it basically gets people to answer a series of questions, and not just some random questions, some questions to basically see if they're qualified. Now, if they answer certain questions, like if you're asking, what is your revenue? If you only work with people where the revenue is over $50,000, then you would get them to select $50,000. And then if they selected lower than $50,000, they would start to go through over to a disqualified downsell landing page, if that's what you wanted to do, or you basically just close out the form and they can't go any further in the process. On this video, I'm not going to talk about downsells and how you would actually go and do that. I just want to talk about what actually happens to get qualified leads in, so then your close rate actually increases. So let's say someone does select $50,000 or more monthly revenue, and that's who you work with, and that's what you've asked on the form. Then they start to go down the correct path. Now they start to go down the path of, yes, this person's qualified, so they can actually go and book a call with me and my team. Now, after that, what we want to do is have a series of content to actually show those people. So if you actually imagine someone's actually just booked a call, now what do you want to show them to ensure all of the objections are handled, so then your salesperson has a very easy job? So the quickest win here is to make sure you're sending them or showing them a nurture video. Now a nurture video could be a very quick video that is shown, which is a 5 to 10 minute video on a thank you page. So once they've submitted what date and time that they would like to go and speak with you, and they book that call, can you then take them over to a thank you page where it basically explains, hey, what's going to happen on the call? We're not just saying to them, hey, show up. We're saying to them, hey, this is a X testimonial, this is a X case study, this is why you should show up to the call, this is why you should, this is why it's important, this is why you've made a good decision to actually have a call with me. Like, all of these things can be explained on that video. Then we could send them back over to your YouTube channel or to your LinkedIn, or like wherever you've got a good social media presence where you're explaining, that you're the expert in your product or service and why people should actually go and trust you. Can you send them over? Can you send them something? Can you send them a Loom video? Any amount of content is better than no content to make sure that they can trust you a little bit more. So in most cases where businesses have got it right is they'll send people over to their YouTube channel, for example, because you can be exposed by sort of hours and hours of content, and people can binge through your content before they even have a sales call. Now, if you don't have that, you might want to take people over to your LinkedIn or take people over to your Instagram, Facebook, whatever it may be. You can send that to people in your nurture emails. So these nurture emails are not just like, hey John, please show up to the call at 2:00 on Thursday. And if you don't show up to the call, then you won't have an opportunity to book a call again. None of that stuff. What you actually want to do is to basically say, this is why you should show up to the call, and you want to actually start building trust with the prospect before they have a sales call with you. And you can do that by explaining some case studies, testimonials, etc. And I'm going to go through exactly how that would look here. So this is an example of how the full flow would work and how you can actually increase your close rate. So you've got your paid ads and you've also got your organic traffic. Now, let's say you might be running traffic over to a landing page which has got a video sales letter on there. Now, all this landing page would have is basically your headline here, and then your subheading here, and then it's going to have your video sales letter here, which is going to explain as to who this offer is for and who it's not for. And then you're going to be driving people over to fill out a form to then go and book a call. That's essentially all you're going to be doing here. So on that application form here, which is over here, then you're going to take people over to a survey or a form. It doesn't matter like how you set this up. It might be a type form. It might be a form on Go High Level. It might be anything, whatever you want to do. Then you're basically just going to make sure that you're going to ask a series of questions to make sure you can understand if they are qualified or not qualified. Because people, believe me, will actually go and watch the video sales letter despite you having said this is for this person and this is not for this person. They will still try and apply and go through, and that's fine because you can still offer unqualified leads for that specific offer something else, which you can go one step further, but I'm not going to explain how that would work. The only reason why we have this filter in here is because we can take them through to the correct page. So if someone is qualified, then we take them over to the qualified thank you page. Now, on that qualified thank you page, what we're doing here is, like I was saying before, it doesn't just stop there once someone books a call. So if someone goes through here, then they can actually go and book a call, and then they get taken to a thank you page. So obviously here I didn't show you the schedule page, but it's just a boring page that basically someone can go and book a call. Once they've booked a call, they can go through to a thank you page. Now on this thank you page, it's super simple. You basically, like I was saying to you before, you're going to explain like what actually happens on the call, set expectations, and explain what they should be doing prior to the call. So once we've done all that, what most people, and the easiest thing for you to do to increase your close rate, is to basically have a series of emails that fire off, so autoresponder emails. So as soon as someone books a call, a series of emails actually fire off. Now, in most cases, some people will be booking calls within sort of 3 days or 4 days. Ideally, you've got that set up so people can't be booking a call a month in advance. Then they're going to completely forget about the booking. Ideally, it's sort of between 48 and 72 hours. Now, those hours between someone actually booking a call and having a sales call with your salesperson are absolutely crucial. So the easiest thing for you to do is have a series of emails. Now, let me just go through some of these. So the first email in your case, think about what would you actually want to see from a leads perspective. So you'd want to actually have something to say, hey, I've actually confirmed this meeting. So, like when you order something off Amazon, if you didn't get that notification saying you've booked, then you'd be a bit concerned as to like what's happening here. That one's an obvious one. Now, this second step is pushing them over to your content. So this content will actually help you build up that trust and build up the amount of hours and minutes that they've actually seen and been exposed of you and your company before they've even had a sales call, which is going to make your sales team's job a lot easier. So what we would do is then push them over to maybe your organic content. This could be your YouTube channel. This could be your Facebook, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, whatever it may be. If you don't have any of that, then record some Loom videos and then put the Loom videos in the email and just basically build a bit of trust. Now, your email too could be setting some expectations as to like what usually happens on this call. It's a 30-40 minute call. We're going to go over blah, 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 blah. And, this is what you're actually going to get out of it. The key here with these emails, right, is to basically give value. We're not just basically sending them emails saying like, hey, you must show up because, if you don't show up, then you'll never get a chance to rebook again. Like, that's bullshit. Like, no one's going to believe that shit anymore. Like, you just need to give them enough value so then they actually show up ready, pre-sold and pre-nurtured. Now, your third email may be a FAQ. So, your commonly frequently asked questions or your common objections that people may have. You know all of this, or if you don't, you can go and do some research and find that out. But you can go through your sales transcripts and then, sales call recordings and understand like what the objections are, put them through Claude, put them through GPT, understand all this. And then that'll help you write these emails. So then you can maybe in your fourth email, handle another objection that people have and handle a story about that. Maybe in email 5, you're going to explain some proof. So explain like a case study, a testimonial, why someone was concerned about maybe not even showing up to the call. They ended up showing up to the call with you before, and now they're one of your best clients. Like, can you explain that? Can you handle any more objections? Set more expectations in email 7, and then you obviously want your reminders in there as well. So what we do is we actually have a series of emails that flow, and then you've also got your appointment reminder emails. So I'd rather send people too many emails and have them like say unsubscribe or whatever than not send any in the first place. Now, again, from here, what we want to do is, so you've got your emails, that's the easiest thing for you to do. Now, most people may not have a confirmation page set up. Again, that's another step that you need to have set up where you need another a video on there. And then maybe you haven't even got some content on YouTube, but you haven't got any content on YouTube. That's absolutely fine. You might actually want to start recording some Loom videos. God, my right hand is terrible for writing. And then you can put those in there and send them over to people. And if you don't have any case study videos, for example, maybe you've got some PDFs or documents that you can send instead. So we just want to make sure, there we go, there's the handwriting. We just want to make sure we're nurturing people. So if you actually think about it now, when your salesperson, if we go all the way back here, when your salesperson has a call, so someone's clicked on the ad, they've had all this friction, they've been served all this content, then they go and book a call, and then all of these key points where they're going to forget about the call, they're going to doubt, can you even do it? They're going to have a ton of objections, and they're thinking, they're already deciding if this is right for them before the sales call. And if you've already sort of built up that trust before the sales call, I can tell you for an absolute fact, your sales call will be a lot easier, because they're going to feel like they know, like, and trust you before you actually have a call. So this becomes literally a formality at this point. It's like, what's the price? What package do you want? This is it. And then they can make a decision, yes or no. And that will improve your close rate. Now, if you want a full funnel setup for your business, then click the link in the description and you will be able to understand how I might be able to help you. I will see you on the next one. Peace.